Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for the basic steps to starting a business in New Mexico. My name is Christopher Garcia, and I'm the Business Development Specialist of the SBDC at UNM Valencia campus. We created this webinar off of a great document on our website called The Basic Steps to Starting a Business, and my contact information is on the slide. A PDF of the slides will be emailed to you, I'll say by early next week. I'll show you the follow-up email as we go into the presentation. Before we begin, let's go over some webinar ground rules. Everyone on the call right now is muted, so don't worry about background noise. Only I have to worry about background noise. There's a feature to raise your hand, and I'll use it throughout the webinar to make sure everything's flowing. In fact, let's see. Everybody on the call right now, can you raise your hand for me, just so I know that that's working? Perfect. Thank you, guys. And if there's ever a problem with the slides aren't advancing, you can't see what I'm talking about on the screen, please raise your hand and I'll know that that's going on, and I'll take time to stop and make sure everything's going properly. If you have any questions, would you please put them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen? In fact, let's see if we all know how to use the Q&A. Would you send me a hi, hello, how are you in the Q&A right now? Hello, Isaac. Hello, Jared. Hello, Lindsay. Good morning, Zoom user. Hi, Isaiah. Hello, Kari. Hola, Abril. Hello, Sandra. Thank you, guys. I don't think any of you are going to have a problem today. And you're all Q&A-ing like pros. I also included a slide number at the bottom of each slide. So if you want to put that in the Q&A to reference that again and howdy Jim, I'll be able to go back to that slide. Perfect. Here is a graphic of our center locations throughout New Mexico. And the mission of the SBDC is to build skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses by offering no-cost confidential business consulting and lower no-cost training events like this one. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the SBDC in the next few slides. Here's our next slide. And usually during this slide, I have our lovely webinar coordinator, Leslie Everson, but she has since left us. So I want to show you what is coming up on our website. There's our follow-up email, by the way. My links don't always work on my computer, but don't worry, all the links I talk about will be sent to you in that follow-up email. Okay, let's see what's coming up. Oh, we have a surviving QuickBooks desktop version available in our Hobbs office. We have a popular webinar, 3 Steps to Attracting and Retaining Customers webinar. That's taught by Eddie Midland. He's a SCORE advisor, and it's a really good workshop. And then we have Texas Got You Down, Tax Strategies to Get You Back on Your Feet webinar. That's probably taught by Peggy McDonough. She's another SCORE volunteer, and she does a great job. The webinars for our sister program, PTAC, or the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, are also located on our website. So if you're interested in doing business with the government, be sure to take one of those. Let's go back to our slides. Perfect. Here's the agenda for today's training. I'm going to tell you more about the SBDC, talk to you about our pre and post surveys for this training, get into the basic steps, review and demonstrate our excellent research tools, then take questions. I'll also have you raise your hand throughout the presentation just to get some interaction going. In fact, when I begin this webinar, I like to see by a show of hands, how many of you are here from central New Mexico? So maybe the Albuquerque metro area. Oh, wow. I don't have that many. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to lower your hands. How many people are here from Northwest New Mexico? So maybe the Farmington metro area. Wow, welcome. Thank you. How about Northeast? So the Clayton area, Tucumcari maybe. Oh, I don't have any Northeasterners here. How about Southwest? So maybe the Silver City area. Oh, perfect. Thanks for being here. How about Southeast area? So like Hobbs. Oh, wow. Very good. We have almost all of New Mexico represented today, so I welcome all of you here. Now let's talk about the services of the SBDC. We offer two major services, the confidential business consulting and the lower no-cost business trainings. There are no limits to how much no-cost counseling you can receive or how many no-cost trainings you can attend. And we have centers throughout New Mexico, so there'll be one close to you. If you look at the graphic in the upper right-hand corner, it shows what we do. Renew, grow, launch, and start up small businesses. This slide shows what we expect from our clients. My fellow business advisors and center directors want you to succeed, so you'll be assigned homework or further research. So please do the work necessary to succeed. We can't make decisions for you or offer tax or legal advice. We can only connect you to the information you need to make better educated decisions. And part of making better educated decisions is working with licensed professionals like attorneys or accountants. And I'll show you a good tool to find an attorney later on in the presentation. Next, I want to remind you about our important surveys we send out as part of attending these trainings. Everyone who registered for this webinar received an email from Annalena Speck saying, in anticipation of the upcoming basic steps to starting a business in New Mexico event you have registered for, we would like to collect some preliminary information from you. With this information in hand, we can tailor the course material to better fit your needs. And that's an exact quote. So I just want to see by a show of hands, how many of you received the pre-webinar survey? Okay, good. If you didn't, you could always email me or Annalena, and we'll be happy to get that out for you. But it is part of our SBA funding, so we appreciate if you do those surveys. You should also expect a webinar evaluation to come after this webinar, and please do that as well, because we really do value your opinions. Very good. Now let's talk about starting a business in New Mexico. Before going into business, there are some important things you must consider. Will I make enough money to live? Will this replace my current income? Do I need the benefits offered by my current employer, like retirement plans, medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, disability insurance, life insurance, and other important benefits? Can you replace those benefits by starting your business? You must also think about your educational background and skills. You have the correct educational background and skills to understand and operate the many facets of a business. This includes bookkeeping, accounting, human resources, supply chain management, my least favorite, sales, and that's just to name a few. If not, you may need to hire someone to perform these tasks or obtain some further training. And there's a great guide on our website. It's called Test Your Potential as an Entrepreneur. Fingers crossed that this link opens. If not, we'll go to of course, it doesn't want to open for me. Let me show you the follow-up email I'm going to send you. and we'll open it straight off the follow-up email. So this is the Test Your Potential as an Entrepreneur document from our website. It has a great questionnaire that you could rate your skills from 0 to 7, and this really helps you understand what skills you might need training in, what you might want to hire out or outsource for your business, and it helps your business advisor to help you create a plan to really help you succeed. There's some myths and misconceptions about entrepreneurship. There's some information about identifying startup ideas. There's some information about a feasibility analysis, which is one of my favorite things to do because it involves a lot of research. There's a great guide to estimating the cost of a startup business. We also have our own proprietary software here at the SBDC that helps create financial projection spreadsheets so we could really narrow down the cost of starting up your business. And we call it the South Dakota spreadsheet, and it's invaluable to your success. Here's the first 90 days projections of your business. Of course, you could start projecting things out here, but our proprietary software is much better. Here's some business operating costs. Here's a recap of those costs. And here's that article or that handout we have on our website, the basic steps to starting a business. And we'll go through all 13 steps today. And then on the back is some contact information for agencies you may need to contact as part of starting a business. There's also a general business plan outline. I'm also sending you in that follow-up email the business plan I like to use personally. It's the UNM Valencia business plan template in a Word document. We got this from our center in Alamogordo, and I think it's the best business plan template out there. So you have many options. And then it just gives you some questions to be answered in a business plan. It's a very good document for the basics of starting a business. Let's go into our first step. These slides will be emailed to all of you, so don't worry about writing down web addresses or anything. And step 1 is defining the business. This is the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And these questions are answered in the business plan. And if you need a business loan, you need to provide a business plan to your lender. Many centers use a fill-in-the-blank business plan template, and I showed you that one. That's the one I like to use. And I'll email it to you, of course. But there are many options for creating a business plan, like online software such as LivePlan. SBA.gov has a great training with worksheets. And we have more tools available at nmsbdc.org. I also want to point you towards the New Mexico Economic Development one-stop website for starting a business. That's gonm.biz. And this website is a partnership between New Mexico agencies you must contact when starting a business. They also have a listing of all their funding resources for you. So let's go to that website. Fingers crossed it works. Wow, a link that works. So I get a lot of questions about what does New Mexico have to offer for starting a business, and the Economic Development Department website is your place to get those questions answered. I like to go to the money sign under finance development. And the first program I want to highlight for you is LEDA, or the Local Economic Development Act. And what this act does is it allows the state of New Mexico to put aside a pot of money to award to municipalities to incentivize a business starting up in maybe a rural or underserved area of New Mexico. And it works on a reimbursement basis. So if you qualify for this program, and the qualifications are usually you need to make a significant community impact and support. You preferably should go into a rural and underserved area of New Mexico. The jobs you are creating, and this program is based on job creation, have increased wages. You make a significant new capital investment in New Mexico, and preferably have environmentally sustainable outcomes. And the qualifying entities are an industry for the manufacturing, processing, or assembling of agricultural or manufactured products, a commercial enterprise for storing, warehousing, distributing, or selling products of agricultural, mining, or having been manufactured, or an economic-based employer which is basically an employer that makes most of its money from outside of New Mexico. Non-qualifying entities, it's usually your general service or retail businesses, but that's not to say they might not make a special exception for you. And what you're required to do is you have to submit all this paperwork to the state of New Mexico. They decide if you're a good fit for the program. And if you are, say you're going to create a big manufacturing plant in New Mexico, you want some help with the building construction and the equipment, you ask for maybe $100,000. They will reimburse you for money spent on those up to that $100,000 mark. And you could ask for more or less. I think there's about $12 million of money put aside for this program. So if it's something that interests you, reach out to your local SBDC office or contact, let's see who the program contact for this is. I believe it's Mr. Torres. Ooh, they don't put a contact anymore. It's probably just a general contact at the Economic Development Office. Next program I want to highlight for you is the Collateral Assistance Program. And this is probably this is a more general program. The qualifications are much less. Basically, you have to be a small business under 750 employees. And if you want to take out a loan, say you want to buy a piece of land and put a building on that piece of land, your loan's $100,000, but you don't have any collateral to back up that loan. If you have a collateral gap and you want to take out a loan, this program could help you with that. If you're a new business, you'd probably want to start with our non-for-profit lenders, West, Dream Spring, or the Loan Fund. And if you have a working relationship with the bank already, these are the banks that participate in the Collateral Assistance Program. And the program contact for that is Johanna Nelson. She's actually the head of the Economic Development Department. Next program I want to highlight for you is the Opportunity Zones. So these have been around for a while, and they're zones in low-income census districts throughout New Mexico. And what this program does is it helps you get financing to start a business in that census tract or low-income area. And they do that they allow people who have capital gains taxes to defer paying those capital gains taxes by investing them in Opportunity Fund. And through that Opportunity Fund has to invest at least 90% of its income into one of these areas highlighted in orange for a business owner. And it's mostly property is what I found out. The Economic Development Department had a great webinar with a venture capital firm that's actually participating in this. And they talked about how exactly you would acquire land for a business through an opportunity zone and then put your business on that land. You could also ask for funds for the operation or the startup of a business, but most of the money invested has to be in property, real property. And if you have more questions about that, reach out to the Economic Development Department or put them in the Q&A, and I could go into that further. And the last program I want to highlight is actually the Job Training Incentive Program. So if you're going to start a business in New Mexico, it's usually a manufacturing business, a non-retail, maybe an value-added agricultural type business, and you want to hire employees. They will reimburse you for wages for training of these employees. And there's some caveats to this program, but it's a really great program if you want to hire people in New Mexico and want to get reimbursed for those hours spent training them. Perfect. Let's go back to our slides. Brief overview of some of the programs available to you, and a lot of the major national companies have taken advantage of these programs. So I say, why not a local small business in New Mexico? Okay, let's go to step 2. Okay, step 2 is choose a business name. There are legal considerations when choosing a business name, and it's very important to find a name that resonates with your target market, looks good on websites, social media, business cards, and other marketing material, is easy to spell and pronounce, and isn't trademarked or copywritten by another business. For example, there was a restaurant in Albuquerque called Dee's Cheesecake Factory. And if you grew up in the Albuquerque metro area, this is probably one of your favorite places for lunch or a sweet treat. The owners of Dee's Cheesecake Factory started the business after World War II and trademarked the name in the state of New Mexico. Fast forward to about 2011, 2010, there's a national chain called The Cheesecake Factory that wants to do business in New Mexico, but they could not operate a restaurant with Cheesecake Factory in the name because the savvy business owners at Dee's reserved the business name many years before. In this example, the small business had the upper hand, but you could imagine how a small business operating under a trademark business name could end up being sued, have to change their business name and all that expensive marketing material, or it might actually destroy your new business. There are two types of trademarks. There's a state and a federal. And the first website on the screen is for the United States Patent and Trademark Office. That's where you register the federal trademarks. And the second is for the New Mexico Secretary of State's office. And that's where you register your state trademarks. And a trademark could be a string of characters, so that could be the business name. It could be a catchphrase, and it could be the actual image of a logo. It's going to be a lot cheaper to do it at the state level than it is at the federal level. But if you are maybe serving the whole United States through maybe a website, it might be a good idea for you to get a federal trademark. And you have to make your first dollar of income before you could even apply for a trademark. I'll give you some resources for, you could always contact a patent intellectual property attorney for questions about a trademark, but I'll show you some great resources later in the presentation, including the newest member of the SBDC team, the Technology Commercialization Accelerator at New Mexico Tech, staffed by Estefanita Rawlings. Step 3 is choosing and registering your legal structure. The legal structure of your business is its foundation, and you must carefully consider how you wish to legally operate your business. The common business structures are on the slide, and everything but sole proprietorships must be registered with the New Mexico Secretary of State's office. And partnerships too. Partnerships and sole proprietorships don't have to be registered. And the paperwork is available all online. It's been solely online since the beginning of COVID restrictions. And more information about legal structures can be found in the document called Basics of Choosing a Business Entity. And I'll show you that from our follow-up email, because I don't have faith it's going to open from the slides. And this is a document put together by an attorney, and it talks about the law under which you're governed as a business owner. And then it goes into maybe the pros and cons, say, of each of the business structures. And remember, this is a legal question. We can't provide legal advice. We could only connect you to the information to help you succeed in making that decision. Let's go back to our slides. I put a little link here to B corporations or benefits corporations are relatively new. And if you want to learn more about benefits corporations, please click on that link and you could see some of the characteristics in them. Basically, they're an organizational structure that for a business that gives back to the community. Like I like to use the example of Tom's Shoes. When you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, they give a pair of shoes to somebody in Africa. And I think that's a great business model. It's a very trendy business model too. You could also consult with a CPA or an attorney if you have any questions, and they could often do all this paperwork for you, but just know that it's available for you to do at no cost or at very low cost. Now that we're having fun with paperwork requirements, let's talk about step 4. Obtain your federal employer identification number. And this is the unique identification number used on your business, used on your tax return mainly, and it's issued by the IRS. If you're a sole proprietor, your social security number is commonly used instead of an EIN. And this number is just as important as a social security number and should be protected as such. But no matter what business entity you choose, it's a good idea to obtain this number, and it's required by most banks and credit unions before you can open up a business bank account. I've also found that with all this federal aid for small businesses, those who had a EIN number had an easier time getting things like an economic injury disaster loan or a paycheck protection program loan. Continuing with our paperwork requirements, step 5 is to register with the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department to obtain a CRSID. That stood for Combined Reporting System. Now that sort of identification number is called a BTIN, or a Business Identification Number. You might be wondering, what the heck is a BTIN used for and why do I need it? Well, it's a unique identifying number used by the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department to record and track your business's collection and payment of gross receipts tax. If gross receipts tax is a new term for you, you might recognize it as the tax you pay whenever you buy goods or services in New Mexico. It's usually around 8% and shows up at the bottom of your receipt. The online registration form is free to complete, but you may want to seek the advice of a CPA or bookkeeper when completing the application. You must also file your gross receipts tax reports on a monthly, quarterly, or bi-yearly schedule. Therefore, the department offers a great online training for new businesses and new employers. Let's see if the link works on the slides. Everybody cross your fingers. Oh, it worked. So here's the link, and they're pre-recorded too, so you can watch a recording. There's the new business and the new employer, and then there's an IRS business workshop. And I have a great link on the follow-up email for the IRS Self-Employed and Small Business Tax Center. And there's a great Taxes, the virtual workshop available for you on that link as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you have to collect gross receipts as a business owner, take the workshop or the webinar. It's worth your time. And if it's something that you're not willing or able to do, definitely consult a certified public accountant or a bookkeeper for that. Step 6 is to obtain your local business license and other applicable licenses. When doing business in New Mexico, you need a business license in the municipality or county where you have a physical presence. For instance, Teofilo's restaurant has a physical presence in Las Tunas, so they get a Village of Las Tunas business license. If they had a food truck and did business in Belen, they'd have to obtain a temporary or full business license in the city of Belen. Some of you might be thinking that you'll do business online or in another state. This means getting a business license in any place where you'll physically conduct commerce. If you're talking taxes, they usually refer to this as a tax nexus. Each municipality or county has different requirements for obtaining a business license. So check with the municipal or county office or consult an attorney for further advice. And for instance, Rio Communities asks you to sketch the floor plan of your business, even if it's a home-based business operating out of your garage. It's just one of their unique requirements. And Socorro County doesn't have a formal business licensing process. They just have a letter on their website saying you don't need a business license to operate a business in Socorro County. And an important item that you must obtain before you even fill out the paperwork for a business license is your gross receipts tax ID number. Step 7 is to report new hires to the New Mexico directory, and the link to the directory is on the slide, but this brings human resource considerations into light. Human resources is a very important part of any business and comes with many legal and accounting considerations. You can always contact an accountant or an attorney for specific information, but I included links to 2 good resources for learning more about employment procedures and laws. Our partners at Comply Right, and they do sponsor the America's Small Business Development Center Conference, have a great blog with lots of resources. Let's cross our fingers and hope it comes up from the slides. If not, it's on the follow-up email, of course. And they have they are a for-profit business, and they offer services, but they have this great knowledge center that they put together, and they have great tip sheets, e-guides, articles, and pre-recorded webinars on many human resource topics. Prevent remote and online on-site harassment, timely tactics to protect your workers. That looks like a pretty cool one. Let's go back to our slides. And then the EEOC, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I got it right on the first try. Has a learning center website for small businesses. And the EEOC is the agency that protects workers' rights based on color, creed, national origin, and all the protected classes. And if you're going to hire an employee, take a look at the small business requirements so you don't get into any legal trouble in the future. It's definitely a must read for those of you who are going to have employees. Keeping with the HR trend, step 8 is if you have employees, you may need to complete Form ES 802. This is a required form from the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions or Connections. And the Department of Workforce Solutions has many services, tax credits, and learning opportunities for your business owners. So I included their business outreach website on the screen. And some of the common services that the Department of Workforce Solutions offers to employers are job postings. That's the biggest one. Pre-employment screenings like typing tests. And in some cases, they provide a space to conduct interviews. So let me go to that website. Oh, you guys gave me good luck today. I'm having luck with all my links almost. So here's the website to the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions for businesses. Some of the programs I want to point out to you are the job description writer is very good. The hiring incentives. So if you want to hire somebody who maybe has a checkered past, they might have they might want to be a bookkeeper. You might want to hire them as a bookkeeper. They might have an embezzlement charge in the past. If you do want to hire that person, and everybody deserves a second chance, of course, the Department of Workforce Solutions will offer a bond. It's kind of like an insurance policy if they do anything wrong. And then they have, let's see what else I want to highlight here. They have tax credits as well. Mainly for hiring veterans. Let's see who the ex-felons. So if you hire ex-felons, you could get a tax incentive. Designated community resident and person 18 to 39 years old who resides in a designated rural renewal county. Somebody from vocational rehabilitation. So this is somebody who is disabled, receiving like Social Security Disability or SSI, and they want to transition into the workforce. You could receive a tax credit for hiring them. Same thing with a ticket to work referral. That's somebody who visits the Division of Vocational Rehab. You could hire a summer youth employee, somebody who receives SNAP benefits, SSI, somebody who receives SSI, long-term family assistance, long-term TANF beneficiary, and long-term employment recipient. So take a look at those tax credits for sure if you're an employer, because you want to get the most bang for your buck. Of course, there are incentives. We have people in the community who need to be hired, and you have jobs. Step 9 is if you have employees, seek the assistance of an accountant. You can see all the tax acronyms on the screen. FUTA, SUTA, FIT, SIT. Makes me want to sit down for sure. You can, and if you aren't willing or able to deal with them, please seek out a bookkeeper or an accountant. And actually, they're not very hard to track and pay yourself. But if your time as a business owner is better spent selling or staffing a store, please think about having a bookkeeper or an accountant do those for you. And then the IRS has a great webinar on their tax requirements. That's and here's that webinar I talked about, the small business tax workshop. And if you don't have any employees, you could probably get away with the first 4 lessons. If you're going to have employees, take all 8 lessons. This is a great webinar, and it's a must for anybody wanting to start a business for sure. I also included a link to the small business and self-employed tax center. And this is your one-stop shop for everything federal taxes related to operating your business. And if your business is something like doing ride share, picking up groceries, delivering food to people, that's considered the gig economy, and there are tax requirements specifically for you. So if you're in that economy, take a look at that for sure. Okay, let's see here. Step 10 is to seek the assistance of an attorney. We talked about important legal landmines in starting and operating a business, and attorneys are licensed to answer those questions. So I have 2 great resources for finding an attorney: the New Mexico Bar Association, or the State Bar of New Mexico, as they're currently called. They have a great database, and let's open up that database from the follow-up email. By the way, this is how I test my links to you guys to make sure they're still working. So under for the public, I need a lawyer. They have the online bench and bar directory, and I'll show you how to use that. They also have the lawyer referral program. It's where you pay the state bar $35, and they try to connect you to an attorney for a 30-minute consultation. I think that's a great service. Let me show you how to use the bench and bar directory. So I skip most of it, and what I like to use are the practice areas and the practice counties. So say you're looking for an attorney who practices in businesses and corporations, and then you want to find them in Bernalillo County. We could do a quick search, and it gives you the names and contact information for all the attorneys that practice in that practice area. And then if you click, we'll click one on random. You could see all of their practice areas, more of their contact information, and some of them get real fancy and post a photo and everything else. Some of the common types of attorneys you might need as a business owner include business and corporations, of course. Maybe estate planning, taxation. That would probably be a good attorney to at least know who you're going to go to if you needed one. Insurance defense, that might be a good one. Intellectual property, patent, and entertainment. This is the person, or this is the type of attorney who could help you with the federal trademark and state trademark. A labor and employment attorney for sure, if you ever have a complaint filed against you. And taxation. I think those are the basic types of attorneys you may need. And then, of course, for that counseling on patents and trademarks, the Patent and Trademark Resource Center for the state of New Mexico is located at New Mexico State University Library. The Patent and Trademark Resource Person is Mr. David Irvin. He is a very knowledgeable man. He could really help you find the research you need to look up information about patents and trademarks. And it's free, just like the website says. I'll show you the website for our Technology Commercialization Accelerator. I like to look under locations. And then we have Technology Commercialization Accelerator under those options. And they have their own website. And they're based at New Mexico Tech. And Stephanie Rawlings is the director there, and she helps people research intellectual property. Again, her or David Irvin, they can't provide legal or tax advice, but they could really help connect you to the resources you need with patents and trademarks. Perfect, and we're doing awesome on time. Step 11 is to review the guidelines for compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is another legal landmine for small businesses and should be carefully considered. And they have many resources on their website. And their website's hard to navigate, guys. So take a look at the links I sent you on. This goes directly to their information for small businesses, and they actually have a primer for small businesses about ADA guidelines. There's also many consultants out there who could help you with ADA compliance. But again, there's people who make a living suing about ADA compliance or non-compliance, and it's best you know what you're required to do before you experience a lawsuit or a problem down the line. Step 12 is to establish a business bank account. And it's a best practice, of course, to keep your personal and business finances separate. This makes your bookkeeping processes easier, and it will help you if your business ever experiences an audit. And there's different types of audits. There's a federal tax audit, a state tax audit. There's a gross receipts tax audit, and that's just to name a few. And to help you learn more about business banking services, I included a link to the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's Money Smart for Small Business curriculum. This has been around for about 20 years as well. It's put together by banking professionals, and it's a great guide for anything about opening a small business. But if you take any of their modules at all, take the banking services module, because banking services for business are different than those for individuals. And you should really know what you're getting into before you make that leap. I would take all of it if you're able to. I think the information that they provide is invaluable, and it's free. Our final step, in lucky number 13, is have adequate business insurance coverage. The slide shows the common types of insurance coverage, and I recommend you research your options with an independent insurance broker. Oftentimes, independent insurance brokers sell insurance from many different companies and tend to be less biased. You can learn more about business insurance by visiting the link on the slide. It's for Hitchcock's Insurance Company's blog. Hitchcock's Insurance sponsors the ASBDC conference, and they are actually one of the largest small business insurers in the nation. But they have a blog put together just for SBDC clients to learn more about small business insurance. And that's hitchcocks.com/SBDC. Again, we'll go to the follow-up email. Make sure I have that slide available to you here. Very last link. And then you can see the top 5 reasons for business insurance. But if you take anything away, take a look at these videos. What is small business insurance and what is general liability insurance? And I think those videos are very helpful in just getting to know the small business insurance industry. And before I get into my next slide, I'm going to demonstrate some of those research tools I mentioned to you earlier. But before I get into that, let me break open that Q&A. Kari asked, is Hidalgo County included? I can't see if it has orange. Is that for opportunity zones? I'm guessing that's for opportunity zones. I don't know if Hidalgo County is included. Oh, Kari has been a good little investigator. I was going to send you the link directly to the map. So I'll put that in the Q&A now in case anybody else is interested in learning more about opportunity zones. And then let's see, I think I had a question in the chat. So if I live in city limits, do I need county and city license? And that it was asked by Monica. Monica, it depends what kind of business you have. So if you're a retail store in the city limits, you would just get a full business license in the city limits. If you are doing if you're physically going to other municipalities or counties in New Mexico and conducting business, they would prefer you get a temporary or full business license in that area. But let me tell you guys, most of the laws relating to temporary business permits were created in the 1910s and 20s, and they govern businesses like revivals, traveling circuses, and carnivals. So you got to kind of expand your mind to think or go back in time to think old-timey and think, well, I have a physical presence. So traveling circuses, of course, went from town to town, selling tickets to their circus. So if you do something like that, you would need a temporary business license. Let's see. Peter asks, will you send out the recording? No, I will not send out the recording, but if you go to our YouTube channel, actually I will, Peter, since you asked, I'll let me find the, I will put the direct link to that recording in the Q&A. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So let me show you the research tools you have as SBDC clients. These research tools cost a lot of money every year to subscribe to. So it's a major perk of being part of the SBDC. I use my login at UNM to access the research tools. If you are a student of UNM or a staff member of UNM, you have access to these tools as well. Oh, let me go. I have some free ones at the beginning. Let me go through the free ones for you before I get into the paid ones. So now that we covered all 13 steps to starting a business, I want to share with you some research tools that we use to gain insights into industry analysis, market research, demographics, and traffic counts. These data tools are very, very important to the success of your business because they help you fill in your business plan, make informed decisions, and plan for the future. Remember, your business is a big investment, so treat it as such. The first link is a great 30-minute webinar from the SBA's website on how to write a business plan. They've since expanded it. It's more than 30 minutes, but it's a great learning opportunity. And they provide great worksheets and examples of financial projections. The second link is for bplans.com by Palo Alto Software. This website provides you with numerous business plan examples. They used to charge like $300 for a CD-ROM loaded with all these business plan examples, and now they offer them for free. And they're pretty good, so take advantage of that. The third link is for Census Business Builder, and this is a no-cost database that allows you to find demographic information about your customers, census stats about businesses in your industry, and estimates of yearly household expenditures. And that's a really great tool. The last link is for the Middle Rio Grande the Middle Rio Grande Council of Governments Interactive Traffic Counts map. If you're in the Albuquerque metro area, that's the direct link for you. The Council of Governments in your area is the entity that handles traffic counts. Sometimes they have an interactive map, sometimes they just have reports. And it allows you to enter an address and see the average weekday and average weekly traffic count for a stretch of road. So those are the top 4 free resources available to you. And now let me talk about some of the paid ones that we offer you for free as part of the SBDC, which is IBIS World, Reference USA. And I'm not going to go into demographics now because I think Census Business Builder does the same thing for free. So let me show you IBIS World. And if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, please raise your hand, of course. And we'll use fast food restaurants as an example because there's a lot of fast food restaurants. So there's a lot of data and research behind them. And these are, of course, are reports put together by economists that give you insights into what an industry is doing now and what it will do over the next maybe 5 years. So let me go over the highlights of this report with you. So here's the key external drivers. I like to refer to these as the key economic drivers for a business or an industry. So what drives the fast food industry? Consumer spending, consumer confidence index, which is basically what do consumers think is going to happen in the economy over the next maybe 5 years. Domestic trips by US residents, healthy eating index, and an urban population. Then we see the first and second tier suppliers in this industry, and the first, and if there is second tier buyers in this industry. There doesn't happen to be in this industry. Here's the industry at a glance, so we could see what our key external drivers did between 2016 and 2021. So it looks like everything but domestic trips and healthy eating index rose. And of course, domestic trips were hindered by the COVID-19 pandemic. We could see what revenue in this industry is going to do, or what it did in the past, and what it's going to do over the next 5 years. Looks like it's going to stay pretty steady. Look at, you see, this is about 2019. This is COVID, so that's the COVID effect. And then it looks like business is going to pick up and then stabilize to where it was before COVID-19, or at least it's predicted to do that. Profit in this industry looked like it decreased between 2016 and 2021, but it does look like it's on a climbing trend. We see profit margin in this industry. So when you see that, think 4.6 cents out of every dollar I make in revenue goes into my business's profit. It declined between 2016 and 2021, but it looks like it's on an upward trend. The number of businesses in this industry looks like it's on a stable trend. And employment and wages follow that same trend. Then we see the product and service segmentation in this industry. Let's see, what is the most popular type of food, fast food, and it's hamburgers. At least that's pretty much an American standard right there. Gives you a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It tells you how the industry did in the past. This is 2013 to 2026 and will do in the future. We see the effect of COVID-19. Looks like business is projected to go up between 2021 and 2022, and then stabilize between 2023 and 2026. And this takes everything into, this is revenue in the industry. This is the driver consumer spending, and then that's the consumer confidence index. One of the most telling parts of this report is, where is this industry in the business life cycle? So if your business is in the quality growth or the quantity growth phase of the business life cycle, that's probably a great time to enter that business or grow that current business. If you're in the maturity, that means you're going to have a lot of competition. Most of your competitors have been in business for 8 years or more. And then if your business is in the decline, that just means businesses like yours, more are closing than opening across the United States. And then the last thing I like to highlight in this report are the major markets. So the major or target market, as I like to call it, is households earning between $50,000 and $99,999. So if I was going to spend money on advertising, I'd probably want to target both households earning less than 50,000 and households earning between 50,000 and 99,999. So this is a very general audience for this particular industry. And now that we know who our major markets are, we could go into our second database that I want to highlight today, which is Data Excel. Oh, it used to be called Reference USA. If you wanted, if your business served other businesses, I could look up businesses that might be the type that you serve, and I could get contact information, revenues, expenditures for them. If you wanted to see who you were competing against, which is a question in that business plan, I could look up all the businesses, say in a zip code or a city that do the same thing as you, or at least listed as the same type of business as yours. But today I want to highlight the U.S. Consumer Lifestyle database. So what this database does is, whenever we fill out one of those warranty cards, we put our income level, we put our interests. Whenever we go online on things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, they collect information about us, and that's how this database is built. So say our target market for fast food restaurants are those in the estimated home income level of, what was it? 50,000 through 99999. So we could put that in there. So let's see where our target market is. We could pick lifestyle characteristics if there's any that meet our needs. So maybe somebody who likes to do general travel in the US. Let's keep it pretty general in this example. We could go to city, state. We could search based on the city or state, the metro area, a zip code, a county, a radius from an address, an actual street address, a neighborhood. In New Mexico, we're pretty rural, so it's usually city, state, zip code, radius. Those work best. Metro area. Today, I'll use the Albuquerque metro area because there's just a lot of data in the Albuquerque metro area. And there are 109, so this helps us with our business planning. We know that there are 109,541 people in that metro area who are our target market. So that bodes pretty well for us right now. We actually have names and addresses for these people. So if we wanted to send them a letter in the mail, maybe I'm starting a new restaurant, I want to send out a coupon to everybody in a 3-mile radius from my location. That is totally possible. You could buy these lists from Data Excel, and that will give you the ability to call them or email them. So that's the way people build, that's how they telemarket us, and that's how they get our emails to send us promotions and whatnot. If I wanted to use this tool, I could see where, maybe in the Albuquerque metro area, I really wanted to put my restaurant in a place where there's a lot of people in this income bracket because I want to have success for my restaurant. I could look at a map and it will list by zip code how many people in that, or how many households in that income level are located in that zip code. So let's see, who is the winner? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Paid for it full price, of course. It looks like 87114 and 87120 have the highest concentration of those households. The funny thing is 87120 is kind of an underserved zip code, especially the southern part of that area. And then again, 87111 and 87114 is the Far North Valley. Again, that's an underserved area as well, but there's reason for that. The real estate's very expensive, and there's really two major roads, Montano and Alameda, and it's very hard to get property, retail property in those areas. But that's just an example of how you could use this database to make educated decisions about your business. And the last one I'll show you, because I want to leave a little bit of time for Q&A, is the free one, that's Census Business Builder. And I just type Census Business Builder into the Oracle here, and it pops up, and I go to the link that's census.gov. I include the direct link in the follow-up email. So what's been happening for me is Census Business Builder has not been working. The small business edition has not been working for me, but you could get the same information from the regional analyst edition. The only difference is you may not get information about businesses like yours. Let's see if the small business edition feels like working today. Information is sorted by NAICS codes or NIAC codes. And these are codes used by the federal government to group businesses together by industry. They have some fast pick options here. We'll use a fast pick option of fast food restaurant. But if you need help finding your NIAC or NAICS code, reach out to your SBDC because we have to enter that in whenever you become a client. And then for this example, we saw 87120 came up as a great place to start a fast food restaurant. You could go to a map, or you could create a report. My learning style is more of creating the report and reading it. So let's see if it wants to load today. And let me tell you, it eventually loads for me, but it's taking a very long time. There might be a bug in the system, or it might not be working well with Chrome that I'm using today. I don't know. But your second option, of course, is to use that regional analyst edition. Just remember, you might not get that information about businesses like yours because you don't enter in an NIAC code. You could search based on county, census tract. There's a whole lot of options, state. Let's use 120 today since we used that example earlier. And this actually takes you directly to the map. And to create the report, you go down here, create a report. And this is the exact same information that the small business edition gives you, except you're not going to find the businesses like yours because you didn't specify a NAICS code. So let's see the population of that one zip code. We could see the demographic information about it. Very important when starting a business. You want to know if your target market's there, if the people that you're selling to are there. Socioeconomic characteristics, housing characteristics, which is great for my tradespeople in the audience. If I was a plumber, I definitely want to know how old the house was in the area, or if I would want to find an area probably with high value old houses. So I'm thinking the Old Town Country Club area of Albuquerque. If I wanted to start an apartment building, I'd want to know how much it costs to own a home compared to renting a home. And if it's less to rent a home, I probably want to start an apartment complex in that area. Here's the businesses like yours. There's just no data in this particular database. And my favorite part of this database are the consumer expenditures. So if you want to know how much somebody in a certain area, whatever area you choose, spends on a certain category, and this is per household, per year. Don't ask me how the census comes up with this data, but they do. So say I wanted to start a fast food restaurant, I definitely want to know how much somebody in the zip code I'm going to start my business in spends per household per year on lunch out of the home, breakfast, and dinner. You could also use this, you could, test potentially a few different zip codes to see, does 87114 spend more on breakfast? If I'm selling breakfast burritos, then 87120. Okay, guys, I think I showed you enough of these resource tools. And again, reach out to your SBDC counselor, director or counselor if you want to explore those more. You're also welcome to reach out to me if you want to set up an appointment. We could get into those a little bit more because they're actually my specialty. Perfect. Let's go back to our slides. Oh no, I'm gonna make you guys sick. Since this is a COVID-19 sponsored webinar, I included this slide, which is which are links to some of the most current and helpful information about COVID-19 restrictions in small businesses. My favorite link is the one, what you should know about COVID-19, the ADA, the Rehabilitation Act, and other EEO laws. If you're somebody who's wondering, can I make my employees get a vaccine? This would be the article that answers your question. And again, it's from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Now that we talked about how we can help you, this is how you can help the SBDC. As part of offering our services, we need your help to ensure we're around for many more years to come. So we ask that you participate in our surveys, report economic impacts because of our assistance to your advisor or director, and write a letter of support to your local legislator about your experience with the SBDC. All information is kept confidential and is only reported in aggregate to our funders, the state of New Mexico, and the Small Business Administration. This slide provides contact information for SBDC programs, PTAC, IBA, and the New Mexico Tech TCA. The Procurement Technical Assistance Center, PTAC, is a government-funded program providing assistance to small businesses who want to sell their goods or services to the government, educational institutions, or tribal entities. The International Business Accelerator is a one-stop shop of resources for New Mexican businesses and individuals wishing to introduce their product or service into the global market. And the New Mexico Tech Technology Commercialization Accelerator offers no-cost confidential counseling regarding intellectual property. This site continues the list of small business resource partners. SCORE, or the Service Corps of Retired Executives, they offer no-cost business counseling as well. WEST, or the Women's Business Center, they do two things. They are a micro lender, so they do give out loans, and they provide technical assistance to small businesses. And VBOC, or the Veterans Business Outreach Center, and they help veterans transition from service to owning a small business. They call that Boots to Business. Here is the contact information for your small business support team. We are funded by the Small Business Administration, and many people ask about SBA guaranteed loans. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So I included the link for the guide. If you download the guide and you type in page 22, 27. If you type in 27, you go to page 27 of the guide. Here are the lenders that participate in Small Business Administration guaranteed loans. If you are a minority person, you qualify for these type of guarantees. They may not be the ideal loan for you, but they are a great option for those of you wishing to start a small business and you need a loan, but you otherwise may not qualify for that loan. And the lenders are listed by area in New Mexico. And then on the last page is a synopsis of all the lending programs offered by the Small Business Administration. They don't directly lend money. The only time they've ever directly lended money are through the EIDL and Paycheck Protection Program loans. If you want an SBA guaranteed loan, you often work through a non-for-profit lender like Spring, West, or the Loan Fund. Or if you have a banking relationship, it's easier to get some of these loans through a traditional lender or credit union. And if you have questions about them, put them in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer questions about SBA loans. And this concludes our slideshow. So let me break open that Q&A. And we are about 5 minutes above schedule, so that's great. So In order to, so my first question are links to Reference USA and IBIS World will be in the follow-up email, or we have to be registered with the UNM library. Well, Curry, thanks for answering that question. We pay for the subscription for Reference USA and IBIS World. And if you want to access those, you would have to pay a lot of money for them. It's a perk for being a SBDC client. Make an appointment with your SBDC, and if you do nothing else, get one of those reference or those IBIS World reports before you start a business, because they are invaluable to starting up a small business. Let me check my chat. I don't see anything in the Q&A. You're well. I love when I have Q&A. I'm happy to answer your questions, and I'm here with you till 1. So put those in there. Okay, let's see. Avriel says, do you know of any resources to learn more about how to build credit for businesses? Yes, I do, and that's the FDIC. That's the FDIC Money Smart for Small Business that I talked about earlier. But we have another sponsor of our ASBDC program, NAV, and they are an online lender, but they have a great blog. So this is the blog post I like to share with people inquiring about how to build their business credit, how to establish business credit, get business credit, and build business credit, by Jennifer Loeb or Loeb. Let me chat this out to everybody. And it's definitely a must read. I got some interesting things out of that report. So basically the number one thing you could do to build business credit is apply for a DUNS number. And it's free to apply for a DUNS number. So don't, there's a lot of ads that say, I'll get a DUNS number for you for $25,000. It's free through Duns and Bradstreet. It's mainly for government contracting, but it helps you build your business credit, because it Duns and Bradstreet starts tracking your business expenditures in different categories, just like they do our normal credit. So let me chat that out to everybody as well. I'm looking at my participants. If you want to ask a question, instead of typing one in, raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. You're welcome to type those questions into the Q&A if you'd like. And I'm here with you for another 15 minutes. So I'll wait around for a few more questions. If not, I'll let you guys go early. And those of you who don't want to stay for the Q&A, you're welcome to leave now. I just want to remind you to do your surveys and reach out to your local small business development center and see how they could help you. Stay tuned for that follow-up email. It will come to you. I have to send it out manually. I have to download a list. So let's shoot for the beginning of next week, but I'll try to send it out as soon as possible. Well, thank you, Sandra. And Sandra says, thank you for the wonderful presentation. Well, I appreciate you attending. I'm glad you guys wanted to spend time with me today. Let's see, Carrie. Any resources for beginning a business that will require contract work for copywriting for small businesses? Kari, I would reach out and get into that Reference USA database and find out what, look for the small businesses you want to target So maybe you want to target marketing agencies that make over, I don't know, $100,000 a year. We could definitely find that for you in Reference USA. Other than that, if you have any specific resources you might want to know about, just be a little bit more specific in a follow-up to me. Appreciate that. Thank you. Zoom user asks, what is the best way to communicate with my SBDC? If you haven't, I'm sure all of you have registered as a client since you're taking this webinar today. But let me go to the website, and if you go to our website, you see locations. Click on the location nearest you, and it will give you the contact information for everybody at that center. So mine's in Los Lunas. We're actually in Tomé, which is a small town between Los Lunas and Boé. And the best way, at least, to reach me or my boss is definitely to send us an email. If we don't respond to that email, definitely call us. My boss likes to be reached by his cell phone number, and I like it when you call me on my work phone. Okay, I see people dropping off of our call. I'm going to give you 3 more minutes if you want to ask me any questions. And if not, I'll end the webinar early. I'll give you back 10 minutes of your time. And I hope you did receive a lot of great information. Again, reach out to me or your local business advisor if you need more help. And take more of our free webinars because we have a ton. And go to that YouTube channel. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you all for attending. The offer still stands. If you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand and you could speak your question. I only see 3 of us left, so I think I'll end the webinar for all if there are no more questions. Thank you guys again for spending time with me, and I hope to hear from you soon.